right, cool. I'm Andy Schwartze over at ESP. I'll be helping out on the sales end of this whole transition in from NEM 2.0 into NEM 3.0. We got Danny, our master marketeer, marketing genius, who's putting all this together. He's going to run through a bunch of stuff later on today. And then we've got all the geniuses behind the curtain, behind the green curtain, who will be answering your Q&A questions as we travel through and into this next realm of the solar game that we play. Couple different reminders as we check forward. NEM 3.0 officially gets started on April 15th. So on Friday, that's when the transition happens. So anything that hasn't been NEM 2.0 submitted up until that point in time is probably going to miss the boat. But luckily for you, if you are with ESP and you sold a deal by midnight yesterday, then you're probably going to get submitted for NEM 2.0, assuming that there's not going to be any deficiencies in that application, meaning you got all the right docs uploaded, you got all a clean utility bill set up, and everything is good to go. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and kick this bad boy off. Again, use the Q&A for questions. We'll get them answered as quickly as we can. We'll do a little Q&A at the end as well, given if there's time. Other than that, welcome to the new world of NEM 3.0.
Real quick, just as a quick reminder, you touched on it. Everybody is going to be getting NEM 2 texts. You as the rep and your customer will be getting a reminder directly saying you're submitted, you're all good. And another reminder, our support teams are working really hard to get site surveys scheduled. They are not required for us to submit these NEM packets. So we know there's a backlog. We really appreciate your patience. We expect to work through them pretty quick here. But yeah, give us a couple weeks here. Hopefully fast. We'll get everybody on the calendar, but not going to stop us from doing everything we can to get customers into the grandfathered situation. So what does it look like after grandfathering? Well, we're going to go through a quick review here. We're going to rerun a couple of the slides we had from last time just to reinforce everything that we went over, make sure you're in the right mind state. And then we're going to talk about how to use our tools. We made it pretty cool. We'll show you. There's a lot of work that went into it behind the scenes. It can be a little intimidating at first, but really it's super simple, and we'll show you how. And then we'll go over pricing at the very end and any Q&A that we need to wrap up. So
Dano, real quick, wanted to make sure, let's do a spotlight mode here so we don't clutter the screen up. And then one other thing too, I did see a Q&A that someone couldn't hear. Can somebody chime in that whoever the anonymous attendee is, maybe turn your volume up? And we'll get going from there. Just want to make sure that we've got everyone able to hear what we can say. Awesome. Jimmy, thank you. We can hear you. Good stuff. So an anonymous attendee, volume on. And then we'll kick off here. Thanks for your patience, everybody.
Are we good? Or do we still have my little face up in the corner? Is that where?
Yeah, we still got everybody on there.
Yeah, let's see here.
We'll get this dialed in. As Danny's going through that, what is NEM? Just a reminder, net energy metering, NET 3.0, NEM 3.0, otherwise known as well as NBT or net billing tariff. We'll go through that and cover that as well. It's basically the agreement between the homeowners and the utility that lets them export excess solar to the grid for a certain price. That's just the basics there. Another big thing that we've got coming through is this is only for the main three in California, right? So in bold at the very bottom there, you're going to notice that it's only PG&E, it's only SCE, and it's only SDG&E, right? So if you're selling in LADWP, you don't have to worry about this, but you still might want to learn a little bit. So stay tuned. Monthly true ups as well, 150% cap on oversized systems. New rate TOUs coming through. Just working from the bottom up there. Other than that, Dan, are you ready to rock and roll?
Let's do it. Okay. Reminder from last time, solar still totally makes sense. It's great. We just are going to be adding an extra feature, which is a really cool feature. You get batteries, and you get batteries with an ROI. So the bill swap mentality is, again, what we're going to be trying to remind you guys. It may not be this crazy, like, hey, your power bill was $500, now it's only $250 or whatever. Might not be able to find that scenario any longer, but it's still going to be a significant amount of savings that they'll see over the life of the system. And ideally, some of that's going to happen in year one. It just might not be a huge night and day difference. So don't use it as a crutch. Use this type of selling instead. In the long run, it's better for everybody. It's better for the homeowner. It's better for the industry as a whole. It's better for the utilities, really, because now not everybody's sucking down juice and pumping in solar during the day. It's going to be used where it needs to be used by the homeowner, and they can be more selfish about it, which is great. And like we said, batteries are worth it. This is how we're getting that ROI on a battery. You're going to be shifting. If anybody's familiar with the duck curve, that's kind of a, again, industry technical term. Don't need to get into it too much. Basically, it just means for going forward, homeowners who have a battery are going to be able to shift that export just ever so slightly to later in the afternoon or evening when the utility really wants it and is going to pay for it, pay a premium for it, that is. So you'll use all the solar in your home as much as possible, is always advised, and then all the excess is going to go to the grid. So as a reminder, we really want to know just a couple questions, and we'll show you which questions we want in the QuickBase tools here. But it's only 3 questions, and spoiler alert, we give you the answer to one of the questions. So it's just on you to answer these other couple by just going through the discovery process with your customer. We want to answer the lifestyle question, which will tell us their self-consumption level, or SC level just for short. Are they going to be home a lot during the day and therefore a high self-consumer, or are they rarely going to be home during the day and be a low consumer, or somewhere in the middle? You can go down the rabbit hole with people on this, but it's kind of a red herring. All they really need to answer is, if they should be able to answer it if they just think about it for a couple minutes. Are you using a lot of power during daylight hours in your home? Yes or no? And you can go down a whole checklist of questions. We're going to give you some resources that'll help with it. But again, don't get sucked into needing to answer every single one of those questions. Really just try and boil it down and guide the customer to an answer that makes sense for them, for their situation.
That's right.
The configuration question is the other one. What matters the most to you? Do you want to see savings, or do you want to have some security in the event of a backup? Which matters more? If it's savings, great. We have this amazing option for you. It's called a self-consumption battery. It's going to be fantastic. If it's security, hey, I really need to have some things running no matter what. Whatever, Wi-Fi, garage door, fridge. I don't want my food to spoil. I go to Costco every week, twice a week. Can't be letting my meats go bad, something like that. Sure, we have a situation for that too. But most often than not, again, the reason why people love solar is it saves them money, and we got a great situation for that. So keep that answer in mind. If they're savings motivated, again, we got the self-consumption model. If they are security motivated, great, we got some backup options for you. I'm not spending too long on these slides because we went over all these last time. You can refer to these, of course, as a recap. But if you got any questions about it, we'll go down the road here. Reminder: this is our current manufacturer lineup right now: Enphase, SolarEdge, Franklin, and we'll show you how to use those. This is what they're all great at. Enphase and SolarEdge are going to be perfect for self-consumption. Really, any of them are going to be good if they want partial backup. We are going to recommend Franklin for the whole home backups. They can stack a couple of the other 10 kilowatt models on top, but Franklin is still, again, far and away just the Cadillac of these models. So good stuff there. So We're about to put it into action here. And remember, you just need to know 3 things. Usage history is the first one. This is the one that we're going to give you the answer on. QuickBase is going to generate, like it always does, the right system size appropriate for that customer. And based on that system size, it's going to spit out, oh, here's a battery capacity that matches up nice Goldilocks style, right, with that same system size. So again, we're going to give you that answer. The next one is going to be what matters most to them to answer the configuration question. Are they a savings motivated customer? Are they a security motivated customer? If they're security motivated, you're going to want to know their needs versus their wants. Again, we'll show you where that comes into play in QuickBase. Real easy checkboxes. And then lastly, just their general kind of daily habits, their usage profile there. Are they going to use most of it during the day and be a high self-consumer? Are they going to need to store some for later and shift it back to when they're actually in the home and be a low self-consumer, but just, again, have a slightly larger battery? We'll show you. That'll answer the self-consumption level. And
yeah, one real quick thing on the
yes,
security piece of it, just so everybody understands kind of the definition behind that. And that's really just what backup power would the homeowner want? Partial, is it essential loads or non-essential loads? And so that's the idea that we're bringing into this, as like the security idea of, does a customer want to feel secure when the power goes out? Then they're going to want that type of solution. Just so moving forward, when you hear that term security, that's kind of your mindset in thinking, how do I want to help this customer out? Go for it, Dano.
yeah, perfect. That's exactly right. Yes, we're not going to be monitoring their home, like it's not going to do any kind of crazy.
It's not an alarm.
It's not an alarm. It's not a, intruder alert. No, not going to do that, unfortunately. Not at this stage. All right. So as a reminder, we got our self-consumption. This is going to be probably the majority of people going forward. It's the fastest to install and simplest to explain and most affordable. There's no backup capabilities with this. So again, just keep that in mind. We're going to recommend these sizes. This is, again, a slide that we went over last time. These are the ranges that it's going to spit out. But let's just get right into it. We're going to show you how to get to the good stuff here in QuickBase. So to unlock all of these amazing features that we built out, there's a new checkbox on the energy recommendations. So if you're familiar with QuickBase, you go through the normal process, you create a lead, and you go to the energy recommendation. And this is the first thing you're going to want to do on the energy rec, is check that box. That'll unlock the rest of these features. So reminder, if you're not on the big 3 NEM 3 utilities, you're not going to see this option. You're not going to need this option. Don't worry about it. So moving in there, and we'll have you can refer to the training videos inside of QuickBase to go through these steps, but we're just showing you the real short and sweet to give you the stuff you need to know. These are the 3 inputs you're going to see. You're going to be asked the configuration, you're going to be asked the self-consumption level, and you're going to be asked the capacity. We're going to give you the recommendation of the capacity. You can see right in here, it's going to spit right out. A 6.6 kilowatt hour battery system is our recommendation based on all the info that you gave us so far. So all you got to do is click that little button that says 6.6. You don't have to choose it. You can customize if you want. This is like going in and ordering a pizza. You will see that the most popular option is just a big old pepperoni pizza, and that's easy. If your customer really wants all those extras, sure, you can customize it. You can ask all those other discovery questions, go down that rabbit hole, but don't feel like you need to do that every single time. Again, the 3 things you need to know are we going to be self-consumer configuration? Are we going to be a partial backup, or are we going to be a whole home backup? In the drop down, it says backup power only. We'll touch on that. Self-consumption level, high, medium, low. High means they're home most of the day. Medium is 50-50. Low means they got, 9 to 5, or they're not home very often, so they got to shift it. And you can see that in those catchphrases. So we're trying to make this easy mode for you.
Very easy mode, guys. Real quick, just we kind of wanted to put this together in a way that you didn't have to jump into an Excel spreadsheet. You didn't have to configure a bunch of different numbers. We wanted to let the front end do the talking rather than the back end. We've got all that data built into the back end of this. All the guys behind the green curtain have really put together something really simple. Again, and Danny's going to continue to go through. So I just wanted to jump in there and just throw that out there.
Absolutely. Don't worry about trying to do the math and figuring it all out. You just need to click the battery configuration, the self-consumption, and then choose that battery profile right there. So in this situation, if they are a low self-consumer, they're going to need a slightly larger battery, just because, again, the solar is going to be producing all day. If it's not being used in the home, it's going to need to stack up somewhere, or else it's going to get pushed to the grid and they're going to get fractions of a penny for it. So upsize that battery and let them store a little bit for themselves for later when they need it. If they're a high self-consumer, the opposite is true. You can get away with a smaller battery size. You still don't want to go too low. I mean, obviously you want to match what they're doing as much as possible. But they can get away with between, just for this configuration, this example, they can get away with between a 6.6 to a 9.9. If they know, again, if you know somebody, I'm home all day, I do my laundry all day, I charge my EV all day, cool. Yeah, you're probably using most of the juice and you're not going to need a very large battery. So have those conversations with people. Get into, well, before we get into partial backup, anything else we wanted to add on the self-consumption side? Because again, this is going to be most people, is they're probably going to be either I'm out 9 to 5, so I'm a low self-consumer, or I'm home most of the day, so I'm a high self-consumer. There are going to be some weird people in the middle, and that's fine. It's still going to spit out a range of a battery recommendation size for you. So
yeah, for sure. I think like the high self-consumer is definitely going to be your work at home customer, right? It's going to be someone who possibly even has, little kids that are at home and not at school. A low self-consumer is going to be someone who's working a 9 to 5. Everybody's in high school as far as the kids are concerned, and maybe they play sports after school. So there's going to be different ways for you guys to get to the correct solution for the homeowner by just asking a couple simple questions. And again, like rolling it all back to like the 3 things that you basically really want to ask, which is just going to be your capacity, which is going to be your usage, your self-consumer type of person. So if you're a self-consumer, high, medium, or low, and then again, the solution for the battery and what that's going to be. And we're probably going to give you the right answer for the 3rd one.
Yep.
Super easy.
Okay. Moving on to partial backup. This is going to be that scenario where somebody says, yeah, I definitely need to have a couple things running no matter what. The example that I think of is somebody who says, hey, I work from home. I absolutely need my Wi-Fi to work at all times. And maybe also my garage door in case I need to get out of Dodge, if the power's out or something. But outside of that, they may want to power a fridge. They may want to power, so again, some smaller loads for a limited period of time. We got really any of the manufacturers going to be great at this, depending on the system size, depending on the level of preparedness they want to do. We'll give you a recommendation of either 1 or 2 batteries. Something we'll touch on is that we can get to it. Each battery will have a limited number of loads that it's able to accept, basically. And while we're chatting on it, one of the earlier pre-show Q&As that we had, if you see us use the acronym ESS, that stands for Energy Storage System. We're going to use it essentially interchangeable as battery. It's just the system, the configuration of the battery plus the rest of the stuff that makes it work. That's an ESS.
We're learning a whole new set of language here, a whole new set of acronyms once again.
Yet again. Isn't that the best part? We'll give you guys a spreadsheet of all of our acronyms. So that's the only Excel spreadsheet you need to worry about, is just the list of everything to keep track. All righty. So for this example here, again, we're just using the same system size. This is going to spit out an answer for you. But if they've got a, let's say they want to do the partial backup, they're a high self-consumer. It's going to give them probably, again, around this range. If you want to select a battery manufacturer, you can. And one thing to keep in mind is that if you change to Franklin, they're larger, so they're going to look a little different on the configuration sizes. Just touching on that, just so you see it, because there are a lot of check marks in QuickBase. You don't have to worry about what all of them do unless you really want to go down this route. If you just take the recommendation that we give you, we'll give you the best option for your customers, so you don't have to sell the brand name. So in this instance, we're going to go ahead and just select the small loads that this customer is interested in running. When you have selected that configuration for either partial backup or whole home backup, it's going to pop out this extra section that says, here's the loads. You just go down the list, check the box of which one they're interested in. I want to run my lights. I want to run my laptop. I want to run my fridge. And then, like we mentioned before, this is the needs versus wants column. If they absolutely cannot live without their refrigerator, check that must-have box. If they don't really care that much about the fridge, or they don't really want to watch TV if the power's out, that's fine. Check a nice to have. All of these are going to populate in that new form that accompanies the HIA, as we mentioned, and it'll just pre-check all of these options here. The other section down below is something that you'll see on every one of these jobs, but this last question is going to pop out when it's asking about a backup. So we always want to know if there's adequate wall space. We always want to know where the battery is going to go, if it's inside or outside. And then this last one is just going to be, are any of these already in a sub panel that we're going to need to monkey with? So that's the only thing to keep in mind there. Again.
Yeah. Little bit here. Yeah, go for it, Danny.
You're up.
Yeah, so just a little bit more color commentary on those last three questions here. So, walk outside, take a look at where the main panel is, check out the wall where you think the batteries may be hanging or potentially be hanging. We need to make sure that there's room there, right? That, you can't put them right next to a window a lot of the times. You got to make sure they're not right next to a door, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe take a couple pictures of it. Obviously, we'll do the due diligence on our way, but don't just mark yes just to mark yes on this. Like, be honest with yourself and with the customer, because we're going to have to configure it. The second one here is like, is this going to go in the garage or not, right? A lot of the utilities and a lot of the cities are going to require heat detection devices. So if the battery's hanging inside the garage, we're going to have to set up a system internally so that this heat detection device talks to all the other smoke alarms and heat detectors inside the house. And so there is an added fee to do that. And so just think like, well, hey, aesthetically, I just want to have these things hanging in the garage so they're not outside. Well, have a think about it, because it's going to add a little bit of extra work to the job itself. And just so everybody knows, it's a rule that all of the different cities are going to be using. And then obviously on the last part of it, if you're pulling from a sub panel and a main panel, we got to get those two things to talk. We want to make sure that everything's configured the right way for the homeowner. And if there is certain loads that need to be moved, then we will move them. And that's about as technical as we'll get here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we mentioned it last time. This is always an awesome opportunity to use the classic, hey, let's do a walk around your house. Yeah, here's where we're thinking the panels are going to go. Hey, let's check out your garage or the outside of your garage. Ideally, we line everything up. No direct sunlight. It's going to be tucked away. Just talk through that with your homeowner and let them start to build the system in their head, because that's how they're going to start reinforcing that it's a great decision to go with that. So and that applies to any of them, obviously, not just for backup. All right, going into whole home. This is the big mamma jamma here. This is going to usually take at least a couple batteries. There might be a few rare occasions where the person has just like never uses any power, never for a vacation home. Maybe you could do a whole home backup with less than 2 batteries, but most often we're going to want to do over 20 kilowatts of battery storage. So that's going to be either 2 of the solar edge, to the Enphase. Always recommend a Franklin, just because for a little bit more, they're going to get a lot more power. It's going to be just a minor increase, like percentage wise, for a large return on how much capacity they have, and they're just cool. They're just cool batteries. So for that selection, as you see here, we got either the small one, which is 9.9. That's rarely going to do it. You're going to probably want to go for that 20 plus. It says 19.8. It's 20. And then you'll have this other section open up that says large loads. So these are going to be the ones that are a little trickier to back up in general, just because they're going to have a lot more juice pulling through, especially a dryer, microwave. AC absolutely is going to be the biggest thing. So if they need to run an AC for a long period of time, they might not get to run very much else. So that's always something you want to just be careful with, setting those expectations and just really customizing it with the customer. Again, you'll have the must-haves, nice-to-haves. It'll populate all the quantity and the hours and everything in that extra sheet. So I think that's it for those slides. Do we want to go back and review any of them, or edit, just check these docs out? We did it in record time, guys. This is
Yeah, we're blazing through here, guys.
Blazing through.
Yeah, I think, on this slide here that everybody can see, we've got a couple new docs that are going to be added to the installation agreement. And this is going to be something that the homeowner is going to have to sign off on. This is going to protect you. It's going to protect us. It's going to protect them. And it's going to make sure that they know exactly what they're getting. Like, so the self-consumption only or rate arbitrage. And if you guys remember, what does arbitrage mean? It's basically buying low and selling high, right? Thanks, Tyler, for that breakdown. Partial backup, which is just going to be circuit preference, right? So it's going to be those essential loads. So like if you look over on the right side of the page, it's going to be the must-haves of like, I want my refrigerator to be backed up because I just bought a whole bunch of meat from Costco. Or whole home backup. They're going to sign off on that one, which is most likely going to be 2+ batteries. And then obviously the last one here is no batteries, right? So we want to definitely make sure that the homeowner knows that they're choosing to not get backup, not get storage, not get ESX, right? And so we're going to have to configure that in a specific way. But other than that, we're going to have this other one here on the right as well.
Yeah, so just to touch on this one on the right, you'll see this darker gray box on these, the bigger loads that we've already talked about here under must have. If they check this box, they can choose it. It's not saying like grayed out there, it's not an option. It's just sort of an indicator that if they're choosing that and putting it as a must have, just be aware that, again, it's kind of up to if we're even able to do that, depending on what they want to run and for how long. We may have to kind of dampen their expectations a little bit, and we don't want to do that. Obviously, if they're saying, yeah, I want to run my AC at maximum, I want to keep it 60 degrees in my house for 24 hours straight, I am very sorry. That's not gonna happen. So we want to just, again, set those expectations properly. And so walk through that with your customer when you're doing that. Anything else we want to review before we get into pricing next? Okay. Here we go. Here's the pricing. You'll see this. Always check QuickBase for the most up-to-date pricing too, by the way. It's as we all experienced, the industry sometimes changes course on us a little bit, and we have to adjust, ideally down, but don't want anybody to have any surprises. One thing to call out here, and we mentioned it earlier, if you are checking the box where you are picking the brand name, that's going to increase the cost a little bit. We're actually giving you a discount if you just go capacity only. And again, let us figure out the hard stuff behind the scenes about which one's going to be the best solution for them. You got your self-consumption options up here. These little baby ones, 3.3, 6.6, 9.9, that's a 9.9 and 10. We, again, tend to use them somewhat interchangeably. And then if you are going into the brand names, there's those cost differences here. Going to the backup options, we've got all these down here, and then those miscellaneous adders. So like we said, when you're answering those 3 questions, two or three if it's popping up, if they're pretty far away from the main service panel, if we have to do anything with the heat detection, or if we got to do anything with a sub panel, it's just going to add cost to it. So
Yeah. Another quick note, again, just as a reminder, if you let ESP choose the battery solution for your homeowner, you just have to choose the capacity, right? The size of it. We're going to give you $1,000 discount. There's a number of reasons why we do this. There's a number of reasons why we want to be in control of this aspect. One, for procurement, for installation process, for speed. A lot of the times, and you'll notice that in QuickBase, if you don't check that box and you let us choose, your job may be installed quicker.
absolutely.
Yeah, and we all love that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best thing, is just so we don't have to say, oh yeah, you know what, you ordered the one guy that we just ran out yesterday, so we got to wait a week. Now, if we can pivot, if we can stay nimble, we can get your job installed faster. We can get everybody, taken care of, and give them it. Really, it's a battery. It's going to work. It's going to do what we say it's going to do, because that's what we do. So anything else we want to touch on here?
No, good stuff.
Okay. Give it a sec to catch up on some of these Q&As. Are there anything that we want to answer live? And I, again, appreciate the team for firing everything off while we've been going through this.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple questions here. One was, what is the heat detection requirement? Basically, it's just a device that we need to hook up into the garage and the rest of the home in order for us to pass code for the specific cities, because each battery itself has its own heat requirements. And so we'll go ahead and take care of that for you. Looks like Zach had a question in here. What's the SGIP? It's the Solar Generation Incentive Program. We'll be submitting that for every homeowner that goes solar with a battery with storage. It's basically 15 cents, depending on the area, depending on the utility, and depending on how much is left in that specific utility for that time being, but we're going to submit it for everybody. I would say 6 to 12 months before any of that money gets to the homeowner themselves. So definitely under promise so that you can over deliver in that breakdown.
Yeah, we went over that on the previous webinar. The slides are up, and yeah, you can go into a little bit more detail there. John had a good question here. If they choose not to get a battery, do we recommend a lower offset for daytime electricity only? And if so, what percentage? Again, that's when we kind of went over last time. It's going to depend, and it's always got to be with a huge grain of salt. The reason why somebody wants to go PV only after NEM is going to be very specific scenarios. It's going to be somebody who says, either I know that I use, 90% of my electricity during the day. I'm crypto mining all day, baby, or something like that, right? That person can still get away with a PV only because they have a very low risk of exporting anything to the grid. Outside of that, I mean, if you start to creep above a 75% offset, it's going to be more likely that they'll start to kind of push out again during those very less than optimal times. They're going to be getting fractions of a penny sometimes for any kilowatts that they're pushing out during the day. So always just proceed with caution. Talk to your customer about that if they're insistent that they do not want a battery or can't have one for whatever reason. Care customers are another one. I know we've kind of talked about this. They do have better rates on NEM 3 than anybody else, but the care program is kind of a fickle beast there, like it's not a guarantee that they're going to be on it every single time. And so if they're going to be fine with PV only now, but then down the road they don't qualify for care anymore, they're kind of in a tough spot. Their ROI is suddenly dramatically different, and not a good scenario we've left that person in. Yeah, that's something that we again just covered it last time. proceed with grain of salt.
Notice Nick had a question here. Can we sell batteries only? Not quite yet. We're going to be there very soon. And so you'll be able to add battery only to a job that ESP has installed. We'll go ahead and make sure that that system's capable of having a battery only, obviously. And that would be solar compatible. In the future, we'll be able to possibly do battery only for jobs that don't have PV. But that's way down the road and probably not something you want to get really concerned with right at this point in time. Another good question here, does solar insure warranty the batteries? It does. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a real big added benefit, I think, to a lot of you and a lot of your worlds out there. That's going to be a real cool one. Yes, Sunrun warranties the batteries for their life of their system. So it's the 25-year term, which is pretty sweet. Let's see, what else do we see on here? What's the best battery for mining crypto, specifically? Something else that would specifically Bitcoin. Zachary, great question. I don't know. Let's talk about that one.
We can get back to that. We'll run it by hey, we'll put it up for debate. Hey, Enphase, SolarEdge, Franklin, which one of you best crypto? Duel. Throw down in the pit. No. Zachary also has another good one. I've sold Enphase and Sonnen, but never Franklin. What's the main difference? Enphase is great. They've been around for a long time. I'm pretty familiar with Sonnen, previous company. We worked with them. They're a good product. They're a big, beefy battery. The main difference between those two and Franklin, if you go back and actually watch our Franklin webinar, he'll probably do a better job of me pitching his company for him. So I would definitely encourage you hop over to our YouTube channel and check that out. It's a great recap. Yeah, I mean, Franklin's really cool. It's a really well-designed battery. And again, high capacity. It's going to be larger than either of the Enphase or SolarEdge offerings right now. So yeah.
Cool. Yasmin had a good question out there. If you don't pick the battery brand, does QuickBase add the battery cost through? Does it pull it through? The answer is yeah. So what you will have to do, though, is you're going to have to choose the usage, right? The capacity, right? You're going to have to choose the configuration, and you're going to have to choose the self-consumption level. So are they a high user, low, medium? Once you do that, we'll configure it, but you are going to have to choose the size of the battery. What type of battery it is, we'll determine that for you, but we got it.
Got a good one here from Parker. I think I understand it. What's the recommended offset for self-consumption? So with self-consumption with a battery is generally going to still be around 100%, right? Like we want to go somewhere in that range of 100, 115, caps 150, but that, you know, we wouldn't necessarily want to go too much over what they're currently consuming unless they really want to, unless they're, again, planning to change their habits. So I think that's another thing that we've kind of touched on a little bit, breezed by it this time, but on the last one, talk to them about future plans. Are you gonna get an EV? Are you going to have somebody move into your house? Are you going to have somebody move out of your house? When do you tend to use, you know, all of your electronics? If you're a 9-to-5er and you start just doing everything the second you get home, so like, you know, 5:36 to, you know, 8 p.m. or whatever, that's the worst time to do it, because that's when the utility is charging you the most for your power, and would also be paying you the most for any power that you're going to export to the grid. So if you can start, you know, shifting that around, again, it's ideally, we're just going to give you that answer and you don't have to think too much about it based on their previous history. But if the customer wants to get custom, like I said, we want to make this ordering a pizza. You go up, it's a large, it's a pepperoni, done. We're just going to give you those answers. If you got somebody who's like, no, I want a supreme and I want the anchovies and I want this, sure, you can have that conversation. We give you the option to customize all the way down, but you don't need to do it. Certainly not every time. And we'd encourage you, if you know, for your own sanity, don't go after that customer. Those are always long sales processes. So
some people like pineapple on their pizza. Some people don't.
This guy.
Right. And so we're going to have to make sure that we get those people the pineapple on their pizza if they need it. So if they do want a specific type of battery, yeah, we can choose it. If they do want specific loads backed up, we can help them out with it. But we want to make sure that we're doing it the right way and asking all the right questions. A lot of good questions coming through here.
Absolutely.
Let's see here. Oh, yeah, I think that's a good question there from Mr. Hood. Yeah, so as of right now, we've got a little bit of a backlog set up with site surveys. No big deal. We got that. We got you guys covered. We're going to be able to get all of your NEM 2.0 applications in and make sure that they get approved and submitted, which is really cool. So the site survey is not needed right now. Again, just repeating out loud, like if the site survey hasn't been completed yet, don't worry. We're going to be reaching out to your homeowners as very, very soon, letting them know that we'll be on the way over the course of the next week or so. But the NEM 2 applications are all being submitted as you speak. We're grinding through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds every single day. And we'll continue to do that the rest of this week and get everybody dialed in and set up. So great question. Thank you for asking that one.
Yeah. Another great one here from DG. Does the customer have to be aware of when to export the power to the grid, or is the self-consumption battery set up to do that automatically? The latter, thankfully. All the manufacturers that we work with and during the commissioning of the systems, it's going to have the NEM 3 rates pre-programmed basically, so they don't have to sweat it of like we said last time, oh, I'm waiting for that calendar. It's September 26th. It's at 6 p.m. baby. I'm getting that $2.70 or whatever. Yeah, you don't have to overthink it. Again, it's going to be a natural process, and as long as they're somewhat aware of their own habits, like we want to avoid anybody surprising themselves. So like, hey, if you suddenly start using a bunch of power in the evenings when you could be exporting it to the grid, hey, maybe just be cognizant of it. So
yeah. Cool. Good one. Another question here. Someone asked about islanding again. We're not going to be set up right now to tie into generators for the time being. It'll be something that we'll do probably down the road as battery installations start happening more and more and more, and more customers start to wanting other configurations of different types of backup structures set up. So for right now, islanding, not yet to tie in for PV, battery, and generator all at the same time, but it will happen. We'll get there. Good question though. Thanks. Is there any reason ESP doesn't do Tesla Powerwalls? Yeah, they're hard to come by and they take forever to get, and it's going to take a long time for installation. We're built for speed.
Just to touch on that too, I know that's one that it's the industry standard. It's the everybody talks about Tesla. It's what everybody knows just for the brand name. But really, I mean, when you get past the brand name, all the other batteries that we have are going to be able to provide the same benefits to a customer. So you don't need to rely on the crutch of, well, Mr. Musk tells me that he's got the best thing. No, you know what? We're gonna sell the customer a system that works for what they want it to do, and not make them wait 6 to 12 months or 18 or however long it is at the given time for a wait list for the Teslas. So, but excellent answer.
Yeah, good stuff. Let's see here. All right. So we got a couple of minutes left. Yeah, a couple minutes left. We got a couple more questions. Let's see. Sorry for joining late. Shame on you, Willie. All no big deal. We'll be able to send this recording out in a little bit. You'll get it probably in about a few days. Also with some other added things as well. Let's see here. The best place for batteries is in the attached garage. Where's the best placement? And then there are adders for other placement locations. Yes, there are. You'll find those questions easily answered in QuickBase. Also, I think another key thing too is most battery manufacturers do not want their batteries sitting in direct sunlight.
Correct.
So if the wall is south facing and there's a lot of sun on it, you probably don't want to put it in that specific spot, or it could overheat. Although I know the Franklin batteries have a very high tolerance as opposed to some of the other ones out there, but we'll help configure that for you. Danny, you had something?
No, I was just gonna, yeah, touch on that. So, I mean, it really depends on, again, doing that walk around with the homeowner, find the best location, figure out what they want. If you can recommend outside shady spot close to the meter, that's a perfect home for a battery. That's just waiting for a battery. If you have to go inside, that's fine too. You just want to make sure they have the clearances and understand that it's the additional cost for the heat detection in most places. So, yeah.
Yeah. Ryan, Ren, to answer your question, do you think AHJs will allow putting batteries in the garage in the future? They already do allow it. You just have to have certain requirements for code
Yep.
in order to do it. So easy answer there. Also saw another one for with shift with Sunrun. When the system is getting designed, the correct battery size is automatically designed based on the system size. No, you'll have to choose one or two batteries. Most likely you'll be choosing one with a self-consumption choice, which is shift with Sunrun only. That's what we're going to be using right now, and it'll be Solar Edge for the time being. You'll also have to configure the pricing yourself. If you have further questions on selling Sunrun with Shift, I know that they're doing a couple webinars coming up here soon, and we'll also be able to help you out as well. But good question on Shift and Sunrun. Good stuff.
Yeah, we need to get the Sunrun guys back on the calendar. That's a good reminder.
Yeah, they've got a couple things coming up here. I think that's probably it for now. Dano, thank you for everything. Any last words you'd like to add on?
No, just California's still the best place to sell solar, baby. Keep it right here. Keep it local. We're gonna take care of you. NEM 3 is a challenge that we are confident that we're going to rise to, and you will too. And so, yeah, stick with us. You're in the right spot. We're just getting started. I mean, honestly, we've been working on this stuff and getting where we're at, you know, to not miss a beat if we can help it. But we're just getting started. We got such cool stuff coming down the pike for you guys. So stay tuned.
It really is. Yeah, we're looking to be NEM 3 pros, and I hope that we can help you guys get there as well. Again, the solar landscape has changed, and we are prepared for it. We're going to help you guys and gals succeed through this time as well. So NEM 3.0, bring it on.
Absolutely.
It's on. Let's go. But everyone, again, thanks for joining in. Had a lot of attendees. Looking forward to working with everybody here in the future. Rock and roll.
Thanks, everybody.